So, welcome to Satsang and good afternoon. So don't move your body. Amazing, huh? The mind wants to do the opposite. Dropping. Don't think about it. Let your system become relaxed. It's the nature of the mind to be busy. So don't take any notice of it. It's going to be busy, always. Whatever it's talking about, whatever your mind is talking about, give it no value. Give it no importance. It's bullshit anyway. Invariably, it's bullshit. Drop beneath where that chit-chat is going on in your mind. And wherever you are right now, drop beneath that again. Deeper. Dissolve. Drop deeper than any emotion. Beneath where emotions arise from. Now dissolve. Let dissolving happen. In the same way that a splash of water on a table evaporates. That dissolving, disappearing. Evaporate. 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 mind needs to know that this is as good as it gets. This is as good as it gets. This is as good as it gets. Notice if there is resistance to that statement. Because it's true, this is as good as it gets. When attention rests prior, just prior, that's as good as it gets. Everything else is a phenomenal experience. And that's got nothing to do with the truth. Nothing. So notice if you're disappointed that this is as good as it gets. If it's a letdown. Because this is where you will find what's keeping the I alive. What desires are you still running? What's unresolved? What have you still given value to? Whatever you're looking for is where you're looking from. You can have infinite experiences, but they will all land you right back here. To the depth of what is beneath your mind, your emotions. The depth of that is as good as it gets. Anything else is a lie. The energy of desire will tell you that there's more, because that's the most potent tool that the mind has. Identification with thought happens when desire arises. So how many more desires do you want to fulfill? Awakening does not happen when desires are fulfilled. Awakening happens when you see through the desire mechanism. When you see that desire is just another way of cranking up the show. Off we go for another merry-go-round. Off we go for another ride of something experiential. You'll end up right where you are now. Dropping into that which is deeper than what mind has to offer. There is nothing in the phenomenal world that can bring you to the truth. Nothing. It's there already. But something else is more interesting. Something else wants your attention. It's up to you. You can give your attention to whatever your mind is generating now as a story. It's up to you. Or you let your attention drop to where it arose from when you came out of deep sleep this morning. Where are you looking from? Where's the origin of awareness? I'm not talking about awareness. I'm not interested in awareness. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than non-duality. It's deeper. Where are you looking from? Where is awareness arising from? Where's that point? And stay there. Then there's no rising up and out to invest in the story of the mind, in the phenomenal experiences, in me story. Stay inside. Where you're looking from, stay there. And if the mind fights, let it kick, let it scream. Let it play its resistance. See through its games. If you can't see through your mind, you're in. It has you. And off we go on the roller coaster ride again until you're back here again. Maybe next time. 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 It goes like that ad infinitum. That's what mind does. It's self-perpetuating. It's built in to mind to keep identification alive. It's built in. It's built in. It's an exquisitely beautiful machine. It doesn't break down. So let's see through it. You're either investing in it or you see through it. Which is it? There'll be identification and a flip-flopping back to the me, myself, I story if you believe in it. Or if you can see the mechanism from that distance. I'm talking about deeper than the observer now. Deeper. Seeing the mechanism of mind. Knowing that you are not. Whatever your mind comes up with, you can't be that. You can't be that. If you've had any spiritual experience at all, that will have started to break down. But you'll have to trust that the crack was showing you the truth. The glimpse was showing you the truth. You have to shift your investment into that being the truth. You see? Otherwise your investment is in the mind, and spiritual experience is a great thing to give you a little bit of a holiday. Won't work. You'll be forever investing in the me, myself, I, and keeping the story going and having a nice little spiritual pastime over there. That's torture. It's torture to live like that. It's torture. Because you're not here and you're not there. It's like, that's hell. Because you're negotiating with yourself. I want it, but I don't really. I want the truth. I'll just say that I want the truth, actually, and then I can have both. That's hell. Because the mind will fight for survival because it knows that you've smelled something else. And when the mind starts to fight like that, suffering is deeper, desire is stronger. It's stronger. So if you've seen that when the mind plays up, it's torture. It's like, yeah, all right. So which are you going to invest in? Can you trust, surrender, and have courage to step into what a crack shows you, what a glimpse shows you? Can that be where you live from? It means recognizing that the mind is always going to be a liar. It means seeing that when desire arises, it's like, I'm onto you, mind. I'm onto you. I'm onto you. I'm not doing it again. And then mind will say, there's no harm in it. Just one more, because it's great fun. You're a boring old fart being spiritual all the time. You know, it's great fun. Let's go for it. That's no harm in it. Fine. It's like, okay, yeah, you stay there until the suffering is too much, and you're like, help, help. I'm up to here in my own story, my own BS. So where have you put your cards, huh? Where have you laid your bet? You need courage and you need self-honesty. They are critical on the spiritual path. Critical. You have to have huge courage to actually stand on what you really, really want. If you really want truth, if grace is really pulling you home, there is a deciding point of like, I'm in, and I'm walking away from what mind is saying. You need serious courage to do that. Serious courage. You really do. And you have to be self-honest. because it's up to you to audit whether you are playing a game and just being spiritual because it's cool, or if you've actually said, I hear the crap that comes out of my mind and I am not going there anymore. You've got to be honest enough to hear what's going on in your mind. And when we're not self-honest enough, when we're not in a place where we can just expose the ego to yourself, expose the dark stuff that you don't want to share with anybody, probably don't want to share it with yourself either. Awareness within you probably doesn't even want to see it. And this is a great trick of the mind. The real hooks that keep the ego alive, that dark stuff, messy stuff, the yucky side of the ego, shadow side, whatever you want to call it, that stuff. You've got to be honest enough to see all that. It's amazing how much we bullshit ourselves. It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. And we do it without even recognizing it. But once you're like, I need to be honest with myself. I need to totally and face up to the crap that's in this mind that I'm hiding from. And if you've got that level of honesty, all right, now we've got something to play with. Now there is some capacity to distance. You can actually begin to see it because the hiding has stopped. That's the self-honesty I'm talking about. That willingness to see it. To really see the games that you play yourself, with yourself. And the mind will tell you it's because you have a self-image to protect. Or, it's just a mechanism to keep the show going. You're hiding from yourself. But it usually presents like self-image. At this stage of the game, you think you're protecting your self-image. It's your image to yourself. It's not an external image at all. It's your own image of yourself. The person you thought you invested in for so many years, All the healing and all the courses and all the things we surrendered, it's like, actually, you know what? It was for nothing. It was for nothing. And if you can say that, all right, if you're willing to let that go, all right, now we've got a bit of honesty coming in. Now we can begin to stop fixing the one that we actually think is great, but actually we keep fixing it, so it's kind of broken, no? It's like, what's going on? What's really going on? What's really going on? Courage, self-honesty. They're essential. They're essential. Otherwise, it could just be a sticky awakening, and there's a lot of that around. There's a lot of stickiness in the non-dual scene, where something isn't clean enough. It's just not clean enough. The other thing that happens is when that self-honesty and courage has not been developed along the way, one gets stuck on the non-dual layer. Non-duality is a stepping stone. It's a pivotal one, it's an important one. But it's actually the one that is the flip side to duality. So we've got the world of separation, me, myself, I, and we've got observer that gives us a break from it, and we've got the non-dual. All right, so we've got separation and we've got no separation. We've got unity consciousness. We've got these things hanging around the non-dual layer. You can jump between the two forever. You can hang out in non-duality where it absolutely makes sense that nothing ever happened, there's no me, that nothing's happened to anybody, all that stuff. That absolutely is valid there. That's valid on the non-dual layer. Sure. It's the flip side of duality. It's still dualistic because it's the balance of the jewel. Do you see? Duality needs non-duality. They're mirroring each other. That goes nowhere. It's a stepping stone to go beyond. But if you haven't self-honesty and courage, you won't go beyond non-dual. And you'll stay in that zone forever of non-duality. Non-duality is a critical first step. Awakening is a critical first step. And non-duality, it has to be a huge movement out there. Do you know? I mean, sure, this Jac character is part of the non-dual scene, even though, I stopped talking about non-duality in 2010. But here we are, I'm still a non-dual speaker. And that's because that's the only language that's in the phenomenal dualistic world for this. Because it's like a funnel, you know? It's like the widest net that can be thrown on the dualistic world is the non-dual, because that's the flip side of that. Then it gets a bit narrower, gets a little bit narrower, and not a lot of people want to hear what's prior to non-duality, not a lot. So, duality, non-duality, that's fine. It's for the masses, because that's, you know, what's available to everybody in every religion, pointing to singularity. One where there isn't a second, pointing to the non-dual. Okay. It's the first step. It's the first step. Once there is courage, and once there is self-honesty, it unravels itself from there. You really and truly can't steer it at all. You can steer it quite a lot when you're still flipping into the dualistic world, when the me appears and separation is running. You can do a lot. You can do spiritual practices. You can do an awful lot to create a space for an opening. You can do an awful lot to, you know, heal the stuff and let go and dissolve and do spiritual practices. You can do all that. The landscape changes after non-duality. It changes. I'm going to use the whiteboard in a while to kind of map what it looks like from the bigger picture, so you can get a context of duality, non-duality, and where does it go, just to kind of dissolve some limitations around what the spiritual path is about, so that you can kind of see, well, where am I at, really? Where am I at? And there might be some parts that are in duality, some parts are non-dual, and some that have really transcended it. But it gives you a better handle on how the map is laid out. How are you doing? All right? Anybody completely lost? You're lost?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's all getting make sense or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not, but I'll stick it out.
Sure, great. Yeah. Anybody else kind of, I'm looking for a bit of self-honesty now. Anybody else lost? Are you lost?
I'm bored and waiting that it starts.
Pardon?
I'm bored and waiting that it starts.
Are you? Wow. What's going to start?
I don't know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It starts something.
Yeah, the mind is looking for something.
Right.
Yeah.
A little bit annoyed, but also okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And you're excited.
Yes.
Yeah. So whatever mind is throwing up, it's like, I hear you, but you know what? Deeper than that. Because otherwise, if that just becomes your experience, it's going to get stronger and stronger, and that will be what you take out, and that's fine. But there's an option. There's always an option. Because whatever experience you're having now is what mind is throwing up. That's just what it's throwing up. That's what's being presented right now. You can go into that and identify with the experience, and that's the end of the story. That's the end of it, you know? Or you can say, okay, mind, you presented me an experience and I bought it because I really am frustrated, or I really am waiting for it to happen, or I really am excited. But actually, not good enough. Drop in deeper. Not good enough. Whatever your mind is presenting, not good enough. Don't take the bait. Don't take it. Drop deeper. Whatever it's saying, drop deeper. Mind is a liar. Always a liar. It's a tool for managing in the world. That's all. That's all it is. It's a tool for managing in the world. You pick it up when you've got to deal with the world, and you set it down again. End of story. Now what's left? Ramesh Balsekar had a great way of explaining that the mind being a tool and picking it up. He divided the mind into the thinking mind and the working mind. And it's very useful. The working mind is the functioning thing. It's the thing that got you here and makes you understand your watch, and it'll make you talk to people this evening, and that's the working mind. The thinking mind, whoa. That's the one that we don't need at all. And I'm not talking about thinking in terms of planning or creativity. That's the working mind. That's part of functioning, human functioning. But the thinking mind, well, that's the creation of ego. Or ego and the thinking mind are the same thing. So the thinking mind is the thing that's saying, I have a reaction to what's being said here, be it positive or negative, it doesn't matter. It has to be either positive or negative, because a reaction is already in duality, so it's one or the other. It's positive or negative, they're the same. They're the same, whether it's excited or waiting for something to happen, they're the same. You see? If you're an optimist, it'll be on one side, if you're a pessimist, it'll be the other side. That's just nature. It's got no value, really, at all. I know I'm zipping through this very quickly, but that's how it's happening. So the thinking mind gives you reactions, it gives you desires, it says, oh, I like, I don't like, it always has an opposite. If you're trying to figure out, can I identify the thinking mind? Well, that's the thing that's going to be right or wrong, because it only functions in duality. The functioning mind, gosh, you can create art. Like really completely express yourself without any thinking mind at all. All right, what's that thing that steps out of the way when something beautiful and natural flows through you? The thinking mind steps out of the way, and your functioning capacity creates something. So you lose the thinking mind, but your functioning ability stays with you. It switches off every now and then when we can't, when we can't take a vibrational shift or something, we become dysfunctional for a while, but that settles down. But the functioning comes back, our ability to connect in the world comes back. No matter what kind of a dramatic awakening or smooth awakening, or doesn't matter. Learn to recognize the smell of your thinking mind. And is it okay never again to trust it? Never again to believe it? Because if you believe it and if you trust it, well, then you have put your chips on duality, not on truth. Neuroscientists, I saw a TED talk by some woman, and I'm not great with names at the best of times, so I don't know who she was. But she is some forerunner in neuroscience. And she has shown or given studies and research and papers and proven that when we suffer, there's an experience that's, registers in the brain. When we have pleasure, there's experience that registers in the brain. The registering of an experience that's about suffering is 20 times deeper in our neurology, 20 times deeper than the pleasure impact. The scratch that is left, the imprint that's left from pleasure, the imprint that's left from suffering. 20 times stronger on the suffering side. So what's going to bring you back into duality? Suffering. That's the thing that will make it appear as real, because it's 20 times more charged than any other experience. So if you've somebody who's had a glimpse that you've been like, in a great zone for I had it for 6 weeks, it was just total clarity, or 5 years, or an hour of absolute clarity. Something that's connected to suffering would have broken it more than likely. Something connected to suffering. That's what the potency has. When you're kind of at the end of the path, it's the suffering that will pull you back in. So, believe in the suffering and go into the story of suffering and manage your wounds and go into the story. And yeah, of course, it works, of course. But ta-da! There you are. You're in your body, you're having a phenomenal experience. And where was that spiritual experience? Oh, God, because me, myself, I, my whole perception has changed. And I'm in my world now with my story. So our neurology is kind of set up to keep the I alive, the me, myself, I story alive. In a way, you're kind of going against the way our brains have evolved. My understanding is that we're actually super primitive. We really only have our hands barely off the floor. Really. call ourselves civilized, it's a joke. We're barely able to be aware of consciousness. Barely. So, this is why, is that we have such an investment in suffering. We're drawn so much to suffering that, we make it 20 times deeper in our neurology. We've evolved to it being like that. It doesn't have to be like that, but it is right now for our time and space in our evolution of where we're at. But the more people that are drawn to the light, drawn towards truth, this will change too. That's a wider span of where we're going in terms of the evolution of our race. Does that lose our connection to be empathetic? Not at all, it increases it actually. It increases our capacity to bring in, to share our capacity to transcend suffering. Suffering still happens, shit still happens. Shit still happens. But your response to it is completely different. And that's what makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. There's no immunity. There is no immunity. But how you respond to it. Does it create a sufferer? Or is it in some way allowed to pass through? Any experience, no matter how horrendous, can just pass through. Self-honesty needed there too, huh? Okay, anybody like to say something?
Woof.
Yay!
Self-honesty comes to say that this went home and directly talked about an experience.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. You can connect what I'm saying with your life. Is that what you're saying?
Totally.
Okay. Good. Good for you. Something is listening somewhere. And even if you're listening or you're not listening, you can't do anything about it, really. All you can do is just it's just making no sense at all, but let there be an openness to it. Because somewhere, the next time you hear it, there's more of an opening for it, Yes, Deepak.
So you were saying about duality, non-duality,
Yes.
and beyond.
Yes.
When you say, even in the absence of thought, there is a picture, there is awareness. And when you talk about going beyond, is that somehow going beyond even that basic picture?
Yes. Yes.
And going beyond perception?
Yes, going beyond perception. Yeah. We're talking about now between awakening and liberation. Yes, going on perception. Yeah. So when there is a picture with awareness, labeling is still going on at some level.
Even in the absence of thought, the mind is really quiet, and
Yes.
You're just sitting and there's a lot of rest, and it isn't making a lot of noise.
Okay.
So it's still labeling going on, but carry on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as long as there's a picture, there's some labeling going on.
Okay.
So that can be the functioning mind, and that would be fine if it's just the functioning mind. If it's not labeling without judgment. If it's labeling with judgment, it's thinking mind. All right. So that there's just seeing going on, and there's a recognition of what you're seeing. So that's labeling. Now get rid of labeling. Stop the labeling.
And then just stop that thought, because labeling is a thought. Just sort of see the labeling and then just stop it, or how do you stop the labeling?
Yeah, good question.
For example, if you go just with the hearing, for me it's more easy with the hearing not to label. But you mean
If it's the hearing,
hearing, for example, whatever sounds.
yeah.
moving is more easy to label. I don't know why it's more, the label should come much quicker.
Yeah.
But if, for example, hearing or just touching,
Yeah.
I don't see my mind all the time labeling.
Okay.
And yet there is still a hearing and still a sensation. I touch my finger,
Okay.
there's still a sensation, but I don't need to put a name for the sensation.
Yes, you don't need to put a name on the sensation.
And yet you mean that is also beyond,
Yes.
even then you shouldn't, it's like this kind of deep of samadhi where you don't hear anything, you don't sense anything.
Yes.
where you-
Having access to those areas is what I'm inviting you. It's where I'm inviting you. To have access to those spaces of where there is no labeling at all. That really is, there is nothing happening. That's where that sentence really is like, bloody hell, there really is nothing happening. I mean, that just becomes much, much more than a concept. Because you get to see that without labeling, there is nothing happening. There is nothing happening without labeling.
There's a vibration.
There's still vibration.
There's a vibration. Is that labeling that there's a vibration?
No, it isn't a label. It's a vibration. It doesn't have a label.
Oh, you mean the state or the zone of where there's no
Only
labeling?
vibration, nothing else.
You could say it's a vibration, or it's a zone, it's a frequency. Yeah.
But the hearing and touching can be the same. There is not the name of the mind, and yet you are still hearing something. Or you are still,
Okay.
feeling a vibration. When your body, then suddenly your body becomes a kind of vibrating, but it becomes also very vibrating. And yet
Yes.
there is no labeling because you don't even know what you are experiencing as just through your mind, and by yet there is still something.
Okay, there's still something because it's registering somewhere. Do you see? That's how come there is something, because something is registering that there is something.
Yeah, I see.
So I'm inviting you to the place of where that registering doesn't even happen. It's okay. Yeah, it's no, all I can do is just open the door. All I can do is just, don't worry about getting it or anything. All I'm doing is just, let's just open the door. We're talking about prior to non-duality now, actually. That's where we've landed into, okay? And since my work changed into talking about prior to non-duality, the awakenings have been like ridiculous. The amount of people that have woken up, and woken up really deeply, like, yeah, much, like, yeah. So it's like, you know, if you stretch from duality to non-duality, okay, that's the maximum. But if I stretch you to like way beyond non-duality, there's a very good chance that you're going to hang out in non-duality. Do you know? Because the stretch has been there. The bandwidth, I'm creating a bandwidth in the consciousness that's in your body-mind. All right? So if I can stretch your bandwidth, you have more access to those levels. So that's why I'm doing this. So it's not about getting something. So however it impacts is how it impacts. It can be totally doing its own magic. It does. Okay? So it's like just to like, okay, she's saying that. Your mind can say, oh, it's a concept I accept, reject. It's like, that's all right. You're just invested in the duality now, and you're going to go from duality. You're trying to look at what's prior to non-duality. Okay, that happens too. And if that's what's going to happen here today, I can't do anything about it, and probably you can't either. Okay? So all I can do is kind of say, just be as open as you can, and let's see how far we can stretch your bandwidth. To stretch from duality, if you're sitting now in your duality zone of like, that's Jac O'Keeffe, I don't know really, you know, I think it's BS, and she's giving me a lot more concepts, I don't want it. If that's what's going on, you're listening to this from your dualistic zone. And you'll probably hate this, actually. You'll probably feel quite uncomfortable, because you can't stretch to prior to non-duality. If you're deeply invested in duality, you won't have the bandwidth to go beyond the zone of where awakening happens. You won't have the bandwidth. You see? So of course you're going to like snap back and lock in to duality. So all I can say is be as fluid and open as you can be. Just let allowing be a zone. If you notice in this talk that your mind is gone into duality and you're like saying, oh God, what time is this? I don't feel right after my life. You know, if you're back in me, myself, I story, just like allow. because our dualistic self knows how to allow, how to be open. And sometimes that's all we can do, because if the mind is going to fight, it's, you know, it's very potent. And it's going to fight this. Sure. Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned the registering, and I somehow got that idea that registering is beyond labeling, because labeling involves the judgment.
Yeah.
But I cannot possibly see, you know, when I look there, I see this fern.
Yeah.
How can I possibly not see it? You know.
As long as there is an I, you have to see it. How can I possibly not see it? And I don't want to get stuck in language. I want you to find the meaning under the language.
How can it not be seen? Let's put
Yeah.
it like this. How can it not be seen? Because there is seeing of this fern. There is seeing.
There is seeing. Okay.
There is seeing because the fern is there.
Okay. Can there be seeing without recognizing it as a fern?
Yes, because the fern, then that would be a labeling, saying it's a fern.
Yeah.
But just seeing it. There is something
So seeing it, the it is still a label. So we've gone from fern to it. It's a softer label. Can there be just seeing? Without there being something that's seen?
difficult.
Difficult from the perspective of the I. That's the invitation. Where is just seeing happening? Let me show something. Sorry?
I was with my question, because even with I'm more difficult. I know I have more difficulty with the seeing. So with the seeing you can do more. The other sense are more inward, the seeing is more outward somehow. But when the hearing,
Yeah.
then you see there is still something which is aware of the hearing. And even if you don't label it at all, you don't even know what you are hearing, but there is a sound, you hear it. And yet we say that there is still, obviously, because we are in the hearing, that you are still someone who is registering. Like when I hear your voice, there is still someone who is registering.
Yes.
So what
There
you are
isn't,
saying
there
is that
isn't.
you have to remove fully so that there is only your voice left.
And can that go too?
Huh?
Can that go too? Can it be seen that the hearing and what's being heard, the Jac voice, for example, that the two of those happen in a particular zone, in a particular
Yeah, in
part
awareness, no?
in awareness? So can we go prior to where that awareness is? Have you access to prior to that awareness? Hmm?
The awareness, till now for me, awareness was what we was is somehow. And awareness is aware of.
Yes, awareness is, and that's non-duality, that's
it's aware
fine.
of itself and aware of whatever your voice and
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's awareness, that's the non-dual state. Can we go prior to where that registers?
Before, yeah, I'm trying, and that was not really.
It's softer than trying. It's like,
I thought it is like going deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, it's like it's deeper, or it's further back, or it's wider. All I can do is present concepts for the mind so that it will loosen.
It's like
Something-
actually like not really focusing.
Yes, like not
That's
really
how it
focusing.
feels for me. It's
Yes.
not really focusing.
Yes,
yeah, it's like the observer, there is no more observing, no? And that's
there's no
very-
more observing, yeah.
Yeah, in this very peaceful state. I don't know that's the only state.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the body-mind goes into a natural state. Then goes into the natural state, what we call the natural state. So that becomes peaceful and calm, sure. But I'm inviting consciousness, pure consciousness, to show up. And prior. Let's see how far I can go. Yeah, no, Deepak's hand is up. Can I go?
No, I was going to ask, she wanted to ask a question.
Okay, Bryony.
Go on.
Well, actually, that question is sort of gone. I don't really care.
It's okay, Bryony.
I've forgotten now. Sorry.
It's all right. That's all right.
Everybody else knows everything. So.
No, it's beautiful what's happening for you. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Well, when you get to a state, do you stay in it forever? Or do you just slip into it for a few seconds and out of it?
It depends if the personal I is finished, if you stop investing in the personal I.
What?
In the me, my personal, the personal me. If investment is still there in me and my story, and if I want to get it, of course there'll only be concepts about this. Sure.
No, I meant when you get into it, do you stay there for a second or a year, forever? This place where you're trying to get to, which is nothing.
Forever if you've stopped the me.
The me self,
Yeah, don't worry. It's perfect. It's perfect what's happening, Bryony. It's perfect. Because I can see it. I can see it. This is causing
That doesn't matter.
something.
I'm completely happy to be out. Just listen.
No, I know, but
Something
it's beautiful.
So she asked you a simple question. How long do you stay in that what you are telling you are staying in who you are?
You see, if you stay there, it's like, oh my God, this was there all the time. This is what it feels like. It's not like I am in here and I'm staying here forever, or I'm not staying here forever.
So is the
If
you
you are-
always gone?
Yeah, the you is always gone.
That was the question she asked, I guess.
Yeah.
But you see, the you, the question comes from the duality.
I'm getting aggressive here. Maybe I should go
No,
because it's so
beautiful.
annoying.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
beautiful.
wait, I hate your voice.
Yeah.
I hate your speed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I really don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, I was trying to flag that in the beginning. This is going to happen. This is going to happen, and here it is. Yeah. Let's see.
Let's see. It can happen that at any time I go out because I find it fully annoying. Maybe I sit and maybe
It's
whatever is
fine.
happening.
It's fine. It's natural.
No, it's for me also fine. Whatever. Ooh.
At least she understands what's going on. I'm just
Okay. All right. Just on the. All right. Good. All right. So I want to explain something. So for you, it can be me hearing the fan, or me seeing the fern, me hearing the fan, okay? Because it's unusual to have hearing as your most, I don't know, the richest sense. For most people, when it comes to spiritual work, it's eyesight, because the nerve, more information goes to our brain from our sight than any other of the senses. So for most people, it's seeing. But for you, it's hearing. I mean, there's exceptions to everything.
What I was saying is that because seeing is so attached to duality that for me it's more difficult to get out of duality with seeing.
Yeah, it is. That's the same thing. That's my point.
Okay.
That's right. Seeing is the trickiest for all of us,
Yes,
the
what I
visual,
said.
because it's
For
the
me,
only
for me,
exposed
the-
nerve.
For me, it's the most tricky thing.
Yeah.
But hearing is much.
Okay, so hearing is the soft one. Yeah.
Move away.
Yeah. So that's why I'm picking seeing, is because seeing is absolutely, your sight is the most, it gives most information to your brain. The most labeling happens with seeing than any other sense. So if I'm reacting to the talk, there's three things. Duality is made up of these three things all the time. All the time. I don't know why we call it duality. Well, because there's separation. But invariably, the personal, the me, myself, I, me, doing something with something. There's always three. So what we do in the spiritual work is we work on the me, dissolving the me. Okay, we got that. We heal the me, we do stuff with the me. And then we discover that, there's probably nothing really wrong with what I'm seeing. It's just my judgment of it. Okay? And as we stop judging and stop labeling, the fern kind of disappears. But what remains is the verb alone. If there can be seeing without me seeing something, if there can be resistance without me resisting something, if there's just the verb, you're getting much closer to the non-dual state and even a little bit prior. Because the seeing, if you drop the other two of these, you're automatically in the I am. You're familiar with the term the I am? Yeah? Okay. All right. So this is the I am.
The awareness.
Awareness. So I'm just going at the same thing from a different angle. This is me personally having an experience, seeing something. All right? And this is what we're talking about, Bryony. It's like, this one is just a thought. She's just a thought. Bryony is just a thought. And if every thought she has is being believed, well, she's going to stay suffering invariably. Because that's really what we go on the spiritual path for, is because it's like, this suffering is a load of crap, and I'm making it up as I go along, and I'm making myself suffer. So when that's happening, you start to realize that, well, actually, it's all about me, myself, and I. My own self-absorption, and you get to see the BS that you feed yourself. Right? Come in self-honesty, come in courage. Right? So we start to heal this, and then when we see that it's not really about healing, we see that, my God, I'm just a figment of my own imagination. When I stop thinking about myself, I'm fine. Actually, I'm fine. When I stop labeling the outside world, I'm fine. Experiences come and go, but then nothing sticks. Nothing sticks. And so when the me reduces in the attention you give it, it's actually fine. And it's not even missed. Until another me story pops up. And then suffering will come again.
But it's different.
Pardon?
After it stops.
Pardon?
After it stops.
After it stops.
I mean, any suffering can crop up. Doesn't make the any suffering if the me is not.
Exactly. Even no matter what experience happens, the me stops arising. Suffering can happen. Your response is different because it's not invested with the me. There's a natural human response, but it's not me responding with my self-pity. I'm wounded. I need attention. I think this and that was wrong and there was an injustice and it's not fair. These are all just me stories. Me stories. I'm frustrated and I don't like the way you're being and da-da-da-da. Suffering will happen. As long as those stories are believed, suffering will happen. So, as we reduce that, next step is the labeling mechanism. And we're left with the verb, seeing, awareness. So can seeing happen without the fern? That's where we started with this. Can there be just seeing without you seeing the fern? Can you find where there's just the verb?
It could be like when you breathe and you just breathe in. This is the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. It's like there's just breathing. It's just breathing.
Just breathing, just thinking.
Yeah. Thinking, just thinking.
No, not thinking.
Hearing, touching.
Sure, hearing, touching, exactly. So that's an instant way.
Even experience.
Annoying takes over, I go.
Yeah, sure. Okay, see you. Sure. All right. So if there's just the verb, most of you get just when the verb is just there, do you? Yeah?
The
Yes?
closest I got into what you're trying to explain is that this comes from Arya Shanti when he says it's the iceberg and the sun shines and the iceberg slowly, and then what is left?
Yes.
And then it's obvious there is nothing left,
Yes.
though there was an iceberg before.
Yes.
You know, somehow then I got this idea
Yes.
that there's nothing left.
There's nothing left. There's nothing left.
There's no me left.
Yes.
So this is how I can
Okay.
see that.
So if there is an understanding that there's no me, that the me dissolves, those spaces happen, then what makes that disappear?
I have to object then, because nothing ever disappears, no? It's then you may be moving to a oneness or something, because then the iceberg is water and air and whatever is always there.
As long as there's labeling, yes.
No, not labeling. Okay, never mind.
That's the point, yeah.
That's the point.
That's the point.
Yeah.
What make it disappear?
Yeah, I said that was the point. You're
What was the
labeling.
point?
That's the point, yeah. There's still water, it becomes something. You have a lens of perception where it's always there. You know, the dualistic
No,
lens of perception.
Yeah, okay. Just speaking from like physics and how nature works, the iceberg doesn't just
Okay,
disappear.
but physics and science and nature are within the dualistic realm. They're only within the dualistic realm. Only with the dualistic lens of perception do they exist.
Okay. I don't see that contradiction between it.
Okay. Have you ever had an experience where there's nothing? Really nothing?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, so then where's the iceberg in the water?
No, it's got nothing to do with that. But this was like using it as an example.
How does it have nothing to do with that? Like, you have a capacity to use the dualistic lens to see where, of course, science and nature, of course, but that operates within the dualistic lens. The functioning mind can do the dualistic lens without identification. Okay? So, as you broaden and, really further down, way beyond enlightenment, you will have a capacity to pick up the dualistic lens and see where nature is valid and see where nature actually could never have existed at all. Because you transcend existence itself. I'm giving you PhD material, but the heck, this is it. So existence itself will be seen through as another concept that's believed. Existence itself needs to be there as a foundational concept in order for nature, for science, to show itself, to show up. Right? I'm going very wide now.
We were talking about the iceberg. I mean, I didn't bring up the iceberg.
Yes.
This is
Okay.
just an observation.
Yeah. So I'm inviting you to see that there's a part of you that recognizes there could never have been an iceberg. But you have to see it for yourself. So if there is it's always there. It's always there, like the ice, the water, the sunshine. That's always there, only within the dualistic lens of perception.
Dualistic and this mean phenomenal lens?
Yes, the phenomenal lens, exactly. Awareness has lenses, capacities to see things in different ways. We go into meditation and we drop a lens. We have a spiritual experience and a lens disappears. They're overlays on top of pure consciousness. That's how I can say you are pure consciousness. But when you run these other lenses, and if you believe what the lens is saying, then you're sucked right in. And I'm trying to talk to you with pure consciousness. But if the lens is being believed, then all your investment is, you are looking from the lens. Where you really are looking from is what I'm inviting. And then you can see, my God, there's a zone of where the phenomenal world, there is always the iceberg and the water and nature doing its cycle. But there is a place where it absolutely could never have existed. And these are the things that show themselves on the spiritual path. These are what spiritual experiences are. But it's about going there, not bringing them back into duality, but going there and letting it have you. Am I making sense? Or am I scaring the living daylights out of people? Not yet, okay.
So when to come back to your question, then
Yeah.
with the awareness and the me dropping.
Yeah.
So you are in seeing and in awareness, okay?
Yeah.
And that's my
Great.
experience.
You know
but
this,
you
yeah.
say that you even manage, because for me, if you say who is noticing, then my experience is that awareness of I am notice the seeing, the event,
Yes. Yes.
the touching,
Yes.
and the world, even the
Yes.
physical body or whatever.
Yes.
Events, or even the breathing, even if you go subtler and subtler. But then you say there is a state, even with the physical body, where actually there is no one noticing.
Yes. Yes.
That the me and the awareness even drop in.
Yes.
The I am drop.
Yes, the I am drops. Can I talk about that, or do we need to, can I go deeper?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You want some help?
Uh,
Oh dear, how can we do this?
I'm okay, I think. Yeah, let me think. If I took away these, I wonder would it stand on its own? Yeah, thank you so much. If you could just pull away the two rows. Let's see if it stands.
We can.
Put it in our way.
If I put these up this way, if I put it sideways, you might see it.
Maybe more.
The laws of physics.
Yes. But on the way to right.
Yes. because this is the dualistic realm, no? But do you believe that this is all that's happening? Or can you see that this is actually just one program, a piece of software? I'm inviting you to see this is a piece of software that's creating this. You're making this up as we go along. You're making it up. If you're frustrated, if you're lost, if you're enjoying it, if you're challenged, you're making it up as you go along. And I want to give you the capacity to see that you're making it up. You're making it up, all of it. You are pure consciousness, making this up just for the heck of it. Nothing to be lost, nothing to be gained. It doesn't matter if you wake up, if you don't wake up, it doesn't matter at all. You're still pure consciousness and you always were. Now, I can invite you to prior to pure consciousness too. But that's another day's work, I think. Okay, the fern still wants to be seen, obviously. All right, so. All right, let's just see how we do here. The black seems to rub out better. All right, so we're starting with the I am, or awareness. Being, all these words for the same thing.
Presence, yeah.
Presence, exactly. And basically it's non-duality, no? Because there aren't two. Because there's just that. Okay, so I am Jac. The Jac is gone, there's just I am. Right. Here's one way of looking at this. Because this is essentially oneness, no? It's non-dual, there's no separation. It's actually one too many.
I don't quite understand, because this awareness, is it not this state when you feel that everything is one?
Yes.
Everything is one.
Yes.
Like this.
It
So
is.
It's not like one, it's just
Yes, everything is one.
all is one or something.
All
like
is
that.
one. There's one and there's not two. Because there's always, it's
And
all
what is
one.
one too many?
Yeah, that one is one too many. That
It's
one.
not really one. I mean, if it's all
Yeah.
one, it's not really one. I mean,
Yes, it's not one where there's two. But it's still something.
It's still one noticing. That's what people do. You know, it's like when you are there, you are still noticing.
It's very subtle. It's like a little crack. It's almost like I'm kind of playing with your mind a little bit. Because your mind is going to go like, I don't quite get it, it's not quite logical, but something else will know what I'm talking about.
it's only that I don't sense it as one in the sense of like a number.
Of a number, that's right.
Or,
yeah, it's not,
like you
you're
can
right.
count, it's one. It's,
You're right, that's absolutely the correct understanding of this. That's the correct understanding. But that interconnectedness is still too much form. Let's put it like that. It's still too describable.
For me, it's more like formless. But
Okay.
if I feel this
Okay.
all is one, it's like formless.
Okay.
But I don't
Okay.
know.
No,
I
that's
mean,
fine. That's fine. It's fine. It's perfect. It's still the same thing. I'm just throwing out. I'm just throwing out something that might.
It's typical that it's something like always. How do you say it? Paradox.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
This has a paradox.
Yes. Yes.
Always in it.
Yeah. Exactly. But and this will be a crack for somebody. This will just go, oh, that makes sense to me, and for somebody else, it's like, no, that's just nuts. It's like this because it depends on where the mind sees paradox and sees clarity, and it's okay. It's okay. That's one way of doing it. Let's not get hung up on about it. If that's not your thing, that's not your thing. It might be somebody's here. Another way of seeing it is get rid of the am of the I am. This is the same thing, I'm just using different language to see where would we find the crack in your understanding, in the state that you know as presence I am. So presence is too much.
So it is the same before when you say that there is still one noticing. Because that's to me when you create somehow a small crack when you say that there is still someone noticing. It is the same human.
No, we've gone beyond that. Because in duality, we've got
So that's
somebody
not what you
doing
meant, huh?
something.
Because I thought that was what you meant. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's more subtle now. And I'm probably going to drive you nuts, but I'm on a track, it seems. So there's three things always in duality, because it's me doing something. It's me and the verb and the object. Subject, object, and a verb in
No, this
between.
I had, but I was there when you say noticing, and I thought you meant that.
Yeah. Okay, so the noticing, but nobody's noticing. It's just noticing is happening, because you spoke
Yeah.
about that. You know that zone. So that happens here.
Yeah.
It's registered by awareness. Awareness notices, or noticing happens in awareness. It's more like that. Noticing happens in awareness.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay? So let's switch off awareness. Prior to awareness. Now your mind can't do this, but some part of you can. Some part of you. That's all I can say. You as pure consciousness is what I'm talking to now. That you as pure consciousness is the only thing that's going to make sense of this. Otherwise, it's going to drive your mind bananas, and you think it's a load of crapology. Mind has no capacity to go where we're going now. None. But you as pure consciousness will totally say, yeah, I know this stuff. Yes?
Would it be okay to say you as consciousness isn't even aware, or is awareness still present? When you as consciousness, is there still awareness? Or is that the same word? Is there consciousness? When you're you as consciousness, is there consciousness?
Okay, depends on how we understand consciousness. Yes. Depends, because some people use consciousness and awareness to be the same thing. How do you differentiate between the two?
Sometimes not. Usually not.
Okay.
Yeah, usually not.
All right.
Yeah. So right now there is awareness, or is the way I put it.
Yeah.
And I imagine that even in the absence of labeling, there would be awareness. Maybe not awareness of plant, awareness of this, but I'm guessing that there'd still be awareness. So when you talk of when that is dropped, does awareness and the world minus labels, even that disappear? So, it could be just black or not even black or no. Yeah, a simple direct question would be, are colors still there?
Okay.
Or shapes still there? Yeah.
Shape. Or breathing still there.
Is the form still? Are forms still there?
Yeah, nothing is there at all.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, nothing is there at all.
Okay.
Here's something that's very useful for some, but I qualify myself. You get to see that awareness is a non-dual lens, and that you have some capacity to see that it's a lens that comes in and out. Some people hang out, and identification with the non-dual lens happens, and they stay in the non-dual zone, and that can be pretty stinky, because it's like it's something. It's just not complete. It's just not complete when it's just staying in the non-dual zone. So seeing that it's a lens is a useful way to see that it's like, yeah, that's a non-dual lens playing. Okay? So if there is colors without naming, form without nothing, but then noticing a form, but you actually can't see what the form is. You can't recognize it as an object, but there's form. Okay, that's non-dual, because it's not differentiated from something else, but there is form.
Right.
But there's no labeling, but there's a shape. That's non-duality. It's everything is the same, but it's just energy moving, or you might have some language like that for it. That's the non-dual lens. So we're inviting to go.
We're going beyond that now. Yes.
Yeah, because there is still breathing all the time. Even when you go slowly, then there is no shape and all. But if I look, it's still breathing, and I was like, but if I stop breathing, then I die.
Okay.
Then the
I
body
still
dies.
breathing. No, you don't still.
That's right.
I mean, there is
That's
still breathing happening.
Only if the dualistic lens is plugged in to your mind. Only if attention is placed on the dualistic realm of reality, then breathing is happening. That switch needs to happen where your attention goes into the phenomenal world. Do you see? And then breathing is happening, and then we've got icebergs and today, someday, and all of it. Do you see? And if you can feel the switch of where that dualistic lens turns on, if you get to see that it's a lens, there's total freedom, because you're not stuck to the product of the lens. You only see the lens. Ah? Yeah? Okay. If you get that, like, yeah, rocket, if you get that. If you get to see that. It's like it's a piece of software in our brains that allows perception to play in a particular way. So we have like pure perception. Nothing is happening at all. And then perceiving the action. It moves into action. And perceiving happens. Now in comes the non-dual lens. And perceiving, nobody's perceiving anything. Perceiving is being registered by awareness. Where perceiving is happening in awareness, the non-dual lens is playing. You have another part of your brain that activates. And it goes into, I'm perceiving the fig tree. Papaya tree, whatever it is. I'm perceiving it, right? Now, you see, the dualistic story can happen. There's total freedom from it. It's just a lens. It's just your functioning mind. You get to see what it is. It's like, bloody hell, it was never me. So it's like if that lens is out there, like 2 feet from my body. That's the dualistic lens, right? Now, 10 inches back, we have the non-dual lens. But I'm looking from over here, where Jac's head is. All right? So me as pure consciousness is here. Now, if only the non-dual lens is running, I've identified with this. I'm connected to the non-dual lens, and I can only see there is absolutely nothing happening. Like a spiritual experience maybe is happening, but if the dualistic lens is playing, I had a spiritual experience of where I saw that nothing was happening. Do you see? Do you see? All right, so then this lens is playing, and I had an experience, and I'm here on a Sunday afternoon. And then we're back here, and so life can happen, but where are you looking from? I'm inviting you to see that you are the widest picture that there is, and that these pieces of software are wired into your body-mind mechanism. Do you see? You're believing the story of your mind if you think that there is a you trying to wake up. All that's happening is that there's total identification, with me, with the dualistic lens. There's total identification. Step back. It's a frigging lens. It's just a lens. It's a mechanism. Step back. The wider view, the wider view, the wider view. And it's much wider than non-duality. Do you see? Non-duality is a really essential stepping stone because you get to separate from the dualistic lens. Now we've got the technique. Now it's about separation. Don't stick to the non-dual one though. A lot of people do. They're like, oh, there's freedom from that. Oh, thank heaven. And now they're stuck to the non-dual.
Okay, you have these two lenses.
Yeah.
Put like that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, when we are in the... Yes, there.
The non-dual lens.
Okay, what makes coming back there?
Yeah.
Is it just normal movement that has to be, or...
No.
Okay.
What makes us move from the non-dual to the dual is me, myself, I. There is an investment in it. You as pure awareness is invested in me, myself, I. From the point of view of pure awareness, it's doing it because it can. It's doing it because it's a divine play. From the point of view of the non-dual, there is an I who is not finished. There is an I who believes itself to exist. Still. So if you look, if you look from pure awareness and the dualistic thing is running, you won't be able to. You're too far away. You're too many steps. The greatest tool you have of dissolving the dualistic lens is the non-dual lens to come back. So you take one step away from it. You've got to observe the me, myself, I that's believing its own story. So the observing will get you back to the non-dual. You've got some bit of a mechanism to see the dualistic. And it's like, okay, what turned it on that I glued myself in and could only see me, myself, I? Suffering, self-pity, me, myself, I. Some story about me. So I wanted to experience. I had a desire that I believed was worth it. And it plugged you right into the dualistic and you lost the wider view again.
But only suffering because you can be...
Desire.
Desire.
Yeah. Desire is deeper than suffering.
But if you have also, in a way to be functioning in the world, some part of you, when you are in the no-dual work, at one point you have to, I don't know, you have to work, for example, you have to go to work.
Yeah.
So there is a kind, in order to be able to work and be be functioning with everybody around, and we are not so especially in this kind of awareness thing, you still have to be in a kind of dual work.
Yes.
You can.
Yes, good point. If you're stuck to any lens, you won't be able to function. That's the thing. You lose your ability to function, and I lost it for a few years. That's how come I understand this. It's like I lost it. I couldn't connect to the world. I couldn't. Like when I met my husband, it was like I remember we were. I was giving a retreat up in Auroville. We didn't know each other that long, and during the lunch break, there was these canoes, and the retreat centre was on a lake, you know. And he was saying, "Hey, let's go out here." And this kind of new relationship, you know. And we were sitting on this canoe, and he was, or kayak, whatever it was, and he was out rowing, you know. I was like, Jack, this is where you have conversation. Okay, what do people say? What's normal to say here? Because there was nothing to say, because there was nothing happening. Because, like, how do I invent a story? What's normal? What's chatting up lines? How do you do it? And I had to kind of find the software, and I could remember what I recognise now was like I was firing new neurology. I burnt out the neurology, and I stopped the functioning mind to such an extent I forgot how to play the game, you know. And I had to like, okay, come on, just see something. Just okay, what do you see? Label. And I had to step by step recreate it. And it took me about a year to like recreate it enough to go back into the world. And every now and then I still have to do it. I do brain exercises. I do stuff every day to literally rewire my brain. Rewire it. I burnt out too much wiring. It doesn't need to happen at all. But I did. I burnt out too much wiring. So, How? Because because I spent too long over here, and I disconnected from the world to such an extent, and life threw me back into the world. Do you know? And I had no tools. I'd forgotten the tools, and I had to rebuild it. And in rebuilding, I was like, oh my God, it's just a lens. It was beautiful because it really showed me this is the mechanism. This is how it works. I just don't have enough neurology. Okay, how do I get more neurology? How do I fire this? You know, and that's how I've started to be able to function in the world again, to rebuild my functioning mind. I come in through phases of where I have to get up in the morning and look at my passport and look at the mirror and see, okay, there's a match. What's the name? Jac O'Keeffe. Okay, when was I born? 67. Okay, all right. Which year is it? Not a clue. I mean, the day had to start like that. It was bananas. I mean, ridiculous.
Why did that happen?
I went out too far. I'm very extreme. I'm very intense. Hello, did you notice? You know, so I was very determined to go as deep as I could, to have absolutely no bullshit, absolutely cut away anything that was stepping in my way. I was just very extreme. I didn't know where the middle path was, and I didn't believe that there was a middle path. And it's like, oh my God, now I see it. But if the wider path was open to me from the beginning, if I'd seen that, it would have been very different. So I'm explaining a way to live a normal, fully life and to do the spiritual path effortlessly. Gone are the days of needing an ashram.
We should have a break now.
Huh?
We could have a break now.
Oh, we could have a break. But just take this question in the break.
Do you think that's why people, like when you see this, that there is some shift, that you can see it, that there is no me really, you feel it, you have this kind of experience, and you can be in that state for some days, but then maybe like it's a defense mechanism which makes you kind of shift out of it, and then I feel that once you've had it, you can't lose it, but you're kind of going a bit like gently with yourself, you're out of it, and you forget about it, but then it's kind of, some shift is there, no?
Yeah.
Maybe that's how it happens for most people, whereas in your case.
Yeah, I mean, if it happens for you, everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's a little bit different, you know? And if that's how it happens for you, the most potent thing is to find out what was that you mentioned defensiveness. Figure out what that is and dissolve it. See through it. Transcend it. work on it. It's like, how come I believed that? How come that was worth investing in? Where I pulled my perception right into, this is more important than anything else. Why did you believe that story about defensiveness? Because it was only a story. What was the potency there that drugged you into it? That would be the work to do, so that that hook no longer has potency.
The time was there, maybe. The time was there, for it went there.
Time was there.
It wasn't the time when I've gone there, right? If I'm investing my time in the story, let's say.
Yeah.
If I don't have a time, I wouldn't invest my time in that story.
Okay.
Because I got a time, so I invest my time in that story, whatever it may be.
So are you saying for you that time is the hook?
Yeah.
Okay.
I consider that.
The belief in linear time?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So if I was like, be more honest, meditating, wouldn't have the time, but if I have the time now, so I pick up some stories and just invest my time, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. So 4 o'clock I go to sports room, but like 6 o'clock I got half an hour. Get a story, some story, whatever, and then invest that time in it, and it comes and goes, and then you just continue your function.
Okay. So if time is the thing that creates the dualistic realm for you, why has it that value? It would be worth exploring to see how come time is the switch to turn on the phenomenal version of reality. You know, why does time make, you know, turn on that movie again? How come? Why is it time? Because for someplace within you, there's a value on time because it has potency to create it for you. You see, time will always be there in duality. It doesn't need to pull you into that realm, make you a servant of it. But in some way, time is in charge when your attention goes on time. So for you, it's really worth transcending the concept of time because it's only a concept. But it's a very useful concept, and
the life itself is a concept, no?
Yeah, but I'm after what's making you stick.
Could we say that it's a protection as long as it is needed?
But protection is very much a dualistic story as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and protection can be there and time can be there, but they don't make you real unless you give potency to that concept. Concepts are not the problem. It's about giving potency to it.
But then the life itself is what?
Sure, it's a dualistic concept.
So everything is a concept, and life is a concept, time is a concept.
Yeah, but you're going into your head now. You're going into your head now. That's not going to help you. You're just going into your head now. That's what I'd be after. Is why are you going into your head and you know, turning it all into concepts instead of actually allowing yourself to like open and yield. You've gone whoops up into your head. You can see all your energy is up in your head, and you're just kind of dismissing it. It's like, yeah, sure, that's the theory, but I'm not interested in theory. I'm interested in you having a transformational shift to give you new tools.
I'm waiting for it.
You're waiting. Waiting is a time-based phrase.
I think we should have a break.
Yeah. Let's have a break, huh?
7 o'clock in the evening, I'll invest some more time in it.
How long's the break, Jack?